What's up guys and welcome to another YuGiOh Duel video. So today we will be discussing my Jinzo deck. So first off, as you know, the new main boss provided a lot of supports ranging from Amazonis and Jinzo, Curse Necrophia, as well as a new archetype known as Cleaford, and not to mention a few other supports for Gravekeepers as well. So first up, this is basically my Jinzo deck, so as you can see, I do not have an extra deck. So that is quite problematic, but I'm still working on the few different tips so I can actually do around this deck and see how it actually can progress so far. So first up, we'll be using two copies of the boss monster known as Jinzo. So Jinzo, as you know, negates all trap effects while this card is on the field, and it requires one tribute to normals to be summoned onto the field, or you can cheat it out using Super Team Body Force, since your entire deck is mainly consisting of machine type monsters. And not to mention the Jinzo Lord itself is basically kinda like the different variant of the original Jinzo, but with an additional attack bonus of 200 and the additional effect of dealing burn damage to your opponent by destroying face-out trap cards that are already pre-existing on your opponent's side of the field. But to be honest, if you want to, you can just get rid of this card and sub it in with this one. So you can play 2 to 3 Jinzos up to your liking, and it is still fine as well because that does not mess up with the consistency of the deck. But if you want to be very cautionary and be extra careful, you can play 3 copies of Psychic Bounder as well, because thus far I'm leaving one extra slot empty just so I can put my extra Psychic Bounder as well. And speaking of Psychic Bounder is a level 4 machine type monster that when it is normal or special summon, add a Jinzo or spell a trap that lists Jinzo from your deck to your hand when another monster you control is attacked by an opponent's monster. Before damage calculation, destroy this and also the attacking monster. That way the monster that your opponent is attacking is safe from harm, and you destroy it with this card by using this effect. But the main effect that you want to utilize is basically the first effect, which is a search ability, and it's a level 4 with 1700 attack points, which is pretty decent as a whole. And by using its first ability, you can get Jinzo, a spell or trap, and basically add it to your hand and proceed with your entire play. Next up, I'm playing 2 copies of Jinzo Returner. So Jinzo Returner, as you can see, the first effect of attacking your opponent directly is very lackluster, but what you want to utilize is the second effect, which is basically special summoning Jinzo from your graveyard onto the field. However, it is destroyed during the end phase, so that's actually the downside of it. But if you want to just fill up the slots, you can add this card in, since it has a Jinzo in its card text as well. I'm also playing 1 copy of Psychic Mega Cyber, so just like the previous version known as Fiend Mega Cyber, Psychic Mega Cyber focuses on the spell and traps that your opponent controls instead. So since they have more, you can special summon this card from your hand onto the field. And once you do that, you can use this as a tribute fodder or an extra monster to attack your opponent with. And while you have a Jinzo, and you can tribute this card, then place that opponent's monster face up in their spell and trap zones as a continuous trap. That way, if you want to do so, you can also activate it along with Jinzo Lord's ability to deal extra 300 burn damage as well during the following turn. But I do not think that you will be using the second effect as a whole, to be honest, because you'll be focusing on the first effect of special summoning this monster onto the field, and since it's a level 6, you can go into XC summoning such as the Jinzo XC monster that you all know. Next up is 2 Mechanical Chasers. So Mechanical Chaser is basically the vanilla of the deck with 1850 attack points. The reason I do that is because I'm using the skill known as double normal summon. So if my life points were to be cut down by 1500 or more, you can summon a normal monster in addition to your normal summon or set. So if I were to take damage during that particular turn, whether by a direct attack or a monster, if I have Mechanical Chaser and an extra Jinzo in hand, I can normal summon Mechanical Chaser, then tribute summon it with a Jinzo. That way you can go into the spell and traps, which I will go into right now. So the first spell, as you can see, is called Law of the Cosmos. When your opponent can set a trap directly from their hand or deck onto the field, and if they did, you can special summon a Jinzo from your deck. But if they did not, which is highly likely, and you can add a Jinzo or a monster that specifically lists that card in its text from your deck to your hand. So by judging from the effect itself, you know that Law of the Cosmos and also Psychic Bounder are the main searchers of your Jinzo deck. So you can play up to 2 to 3 copies of this in your deck, and depending on how fast you can bring out Jinzo, you can use the other spells like these. Cyber Energy Shock. If you control a Jinzo, target a card on the field and destroy it. Then if it was a trap, you can apply one of the effects. Negate effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of turn, or all Jinzos you control gain 800 points of attack. And this only specifies the original Jinzo, not Jinzo Lord, not Jinzo Returner, just Jinzo. And not to mention, when you use this card, you do not necessarily have to target a spell or trap in the back row. You can target a card on the field and destroy it. So it doesn't matter if it's a monster, you can destroy it just like that. And thanks to Jinzo's continuous ability of negating all trap cards, your opponent can't react to that unless they have a quick play spell that actually has a reaction to it. Only then they can chain, then you can basically see how it goes from there. Next up is a card that actually provides a large majority of protection to your deck, especially for your machine Jinzo monsters, and it's called Everlasting Alloy. If you control a Jinzo, activate one of these effects. All machine type monsters you currently control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects until the end of its turn. So let's say that your opponent were to have something like Gandora, or maybe a certain particular monster that can discard to destroy a machine type monster on the field. So you can activate the first effect to provide protection, or the second effect when a card or effect is activated targets a machine type monster you control, negate that effect. So it negates once, and not to mention this is not a once per turn effect, so if you have 2 you can activate 2 of these cards if they are set on the field. So the reason I don't play more than 2 copies is because let's just say that if you can bring Jinzo out and you can play the spell and trap, that's fine. But if you do not control a Jinzo, then these are pretty much dead cards, except that if you have the searchers, then basically you are good to go. Next up, I'm playing 1 copy of Card Advance. So you can check the top 5 cards, then you can tribute summon a monster on the field. So this means that on your first turn summon, you can bring out your Jinzo, and also you can also check and stack whatever the top 5 cards of your deck is, so they can proceed during your next turn by activating either maybe Cyber Energy Shock or maybe another searcher to add cards from your deck to your hand. Lastly, I'm playing 2 trap cards which are known as Super Team Body Force Unite. These are basically the cards that helps you bring out Jinzo, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. That way, if you have let's say Mechanical Chaser or even Psychic Bounder and you do not have any of the other cards that are currently available that allows you to bring out Jinzo, Super Team Body Force is a safe bet for you to bring out Jinzo without tribute. And not to mention, since you're only running 2 of these in your deck, all of your other spell and traps all your other spell cards are basically there for you to actually bring out your entire deck to your complete advantage. Next up, Amplifier. So I do not use Amplifier, I do not use Cosmos Channeling, nor do I use Psychic Wave. The reason for that is because Amplifier, when it's destroyed, it destroys the Jinzo as well. So that is the downside to using this card. Not to mention, I'm only using 2 trap cards, which is basically a no-brainer. So why should I run this card in my deck, since Jinzo already has its pre-existing effect of negating all trap cards effect on the field. Next up is Cosmos Channeling. It's a continuous spell card. However, this card only targets sends a monster you control that's owned by your opponent to the graveyard to special summon a machine type from your hand or graveyard. This allows you to bring out Jinzo or any machine type monsters of high level, like Barrel Dragon or whatsoever you want to play with. But you must send a card that is currently owned by your opponent. So if you were to play Lava Golem and you were to tribute the monsters on your opponent's side of the field, you can use this card to bring out Jinzo and basically go for an OTK. But with the second effect, which is pretty much lackluster, declare a card during your opponent's draw phase, and if you guessed it right, then you can draw a card and send this card to the graveyard. So by playing the guessing game and also drawing a card that you guessed it right, that's a pretty dumb effect. But anyways, the first effect is the only one that you want to use if you're gonna play a deck using this card, so that's one of the few things you gotta keep an eye out for. Next up is Psychic Wave. It's a quick play spell. You control a machine monster, send a Jinzo from your hand or deck to the graveyard, inflict 300 burn damage, and it was during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, banish this from the graveyard, then target a machine in the graveyard, send a Jinzo from deck to the graveyard, and if you do, add that targeted monster to your hand. So basically you are sending Jinzo to the graveyard to inflict 300 burn damage, then getting it back by sending another Jinzo from your deck to the graveyard by banishing this card. So if you're actually looking at it from the perspective of why am I doing that, of course you're actually milling the different Jinzos from your deck to the graveyard so it can improve whatever you're gonna draw next, but at the same time it's kind of like very redundant at the same time, so you gotta keep an eye out for that if you're gonna play this card in your entire deck as a whole. So as per usual, as you can see, I'm using double normal summon, which means I'm using Bakura. Henceforth, let's go with a duel and let me demonstrate to you how this deck is being played. So right now we're going against a level 40 Dark Master Zord, and maybe this will actually like provide some certain clarity and see how the deck actually performs well. Alright, so this is a pretty decent opening hand with Psychic Bounder and Super Team Body Force, so it's pretty good. Alright, draw. Loud Cosmos, perfecto. Let's activate the effect and get a copy of maybe Jinzo Returner from the deck to the hand. And then we normal summon our Psychic Bounder, activate the effect of getting Cyber Energy Shock. Just like that, voila. And now we set Super Team Body Force and Cyber Energy Shock onto the field. And now we just progress with the duel. Okay, so right now activate Super Team Body Force and target and bring out our Jinzo. Okay, 2-man cell battle, alright. And now we activate Cyber Energy Shock's effect and destroy that Battle Ox just like that. So now they're empty, their field is empty, and now they bring out a 2-man cell battle effect. We basically have this game in the win. Normal summon Mechanical Chaser, activate success or failure depending on the dice roll, so we get extra boost on attack right there, and we go for an attack and finish the duel. Final attack by Jinzo, and that's basically game. So yes, that's basically how you can play this deck as a whole. So one of the few cards you actually must have is basically Psychic Bounder and also Cosmo Wave. So yes, Lord Cosmos and Psychic Bounders are basically the main searchers of the deck. Whereas for special summons is basically Psychic Mega Cyber and Super Team Body Force. Whereas for monsters, for extra for the skill itself is double normal summon, and for destroying cards on the field and providing battle protection, effect protection is Everlasting Alloy, and also Cyber Energy Shock along with Jinzo itself. So once you got that down, and also you have card advance to check the top 5 cards of the deck to see how you can progress in your next turn. That's basically how the deck is going to be played. So that's basically it for my Jinzo deck. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed. And maybe if you want to try out a Jinzo deck by yourself, and you can use this deck as a skeleton if you want to. And if you want to see, if you feel that there's different other methods to optimize my current deck, or there are different other recommendations you want to try out, and let me know. Do let me know in the comments below, and I'll try it out for myself and post a video about it. I did that with Herwu when he suggested a Phantom Knight's Red Eyes deck profile. So yeah, I'm pretty much open to anything, so let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you and let you know how I can get onto it. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the next upcoming video. So good morning, good night, good afternoon or evening or wherever you are. Stay safe, but most important of all, keep dueling. Goodbye and see ya.